Welcome to Electric Universe Geometry, a brand new podcast dedicated to interviewing doctors, engineers, electrical engineers, and scientists, physicists, and plasma physicists all around the world to expose the electric universe geometry. It's a geometric world out there. Thank you for joining us for episode 2. Welcome to episode 2 of Electric Universe Geometry. Today we have a very important guest, Tufan Guven. Tufan is here today to give a brief description of his work about implosion physics. This is a solo operation. Best way to support me is on PayPal, goldenscaling@gmail.com. Have you here and present. So you're in Turkey and I'm in Michigan, in the United States. So there's a big time difference here, but let me just welcome the viewers. Welcome to Electric Universe Geometry, and this is a brand new podcast that I'm starting, and it is you are the second interviewee or participant, whatever way you want to look at it, teacher, and what I'm really dedicated to inside of this podcast is showing off the plasma physicists that have got us to the point to where we are today in the electric universe paradigm, the Thunderbolts project, plasma physics research. There's quite a bit of stuff going on, and I want to take a look at the universe from a geometric perspective, because I believe it is a geometric universe. It's a hollow universe. And it's very much made of sound. So I guess that's just some of the stuff that to start off this episode. So without further ado, we have Tufan here. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see me?
I can see you.
All right, perfect. All right. Well, we can talk to each other for a little bit, and then we can hop on. We can share your screen, or I see some fun toys in the back there as well. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Tufan.
Sure. Thank you for calling me, and also thank you for your work. So my name is Tufan Guven. My background is banking and finance, and geometry is something that I was always intrigued, and during my high school and middle school times, geometry was my most successful class. And this was something that I was always successful of, and I was mostly like catching my teachers' faults while they were asking some geometrical questions. And then later on in life, I got into financial stuff, financial sector. I was a hedge fund manager at one point. And then around 2008, I was introduced to Dan Winter's work. And before that, I already knew some basic like sacred geometry information, mostly from Drunvalo Melchizedek and Nassim Harameyn's work, but around 2008, when I met with Dan Winter's work, I was really amazed how he could unify most of the, actually all of the things that we consider sacred or like interesting stuff. And so I was very much amazed how he could unify all those things. And that's how I got into the fractal physics mostly. And I'm also a biophoton therapist. I work with biofeedback modalities. And I'm also amazed with the abilities of light, what it can do in terms of healing. And yeah, this is pretty much what I do. And where shall we continue with?
Okay. That's awesome. I have found your work through a video maybe 2 years ago, Implosion Physics, a video that you and Dan Winter did together on YouTube,
Yes.
and that's what drew me to your work. I likewise have been studying uh, a lot of different type of geometries. I had uh, I guess, well, a series of 7 drawings come to me out of the cosmos in 2003. And since then, I've been studying this geometry, and now I understand it as like the alphabet of the universe, and plasmoid pinches and toroids and helices, helical dynamics, and I've just blown away at how Dan Winter, how he so succinctly put it all together, and which allowed me to actually be able to express what I understood inside of the geometry that I was looking at, because I'm like, okay, it's recursions of the golden mean, and then I look at Winter's work, and he's like, he just straight up says that's what it is. That's what implosion is. And fractality and all this stuff. And so I've been studying Dan Winter and um, Don uh, Donald Scott. I'm not sure if you've heard of Donald Scott.
No.
His work. Now his work is really what got me on a plane and got me to go somewhere and actually meet up with someone, because he is a retired professor, electrical professor, electrical engineer, and well, he's got his PhD among other things, but he's taught for like 20 plus years. So I went to go see him out in Phoenix at the Thunderbolts project, and I brought my geometry to go see him. And I know you might be somewhat familiar with my work, um, but
Yeah.
so I went to go see Don Scott, and when he validated it, and I asked him to review my images with no words, he put words to it, and the words that he said was, it was as if you were standing inside of a Birkeland current, and you can see all the intricate detail around you, and that made me realize, it took me for a while to process how powerful that the reality is of just a review of someone looking at your work,
Yeah.
because that's really what we're doing here. We're reviewing each other's work, where we're sharing it, and we're decoding it and adding it to our, for lack of a better term, lexicon or language inside of our brain. We're all trying to get towards the I guess you could call it the singularity, but there isn't a singularity. It's hollow. That's why we are a chorus around it once we start getting towards what we think it is as the center, because the center, as you can show behind you with that accordion looking thing, it just keeps going around the outside. It's the toroid. And I was listening to a presentation of your work, that same one that drew me into you earlier today, and you were showing how similar geometries are when they're implosive and explosive, and they're all pointing towards a center.
Right.
And that's what really has had me on the kick. Basically, what I do is I study holes, how they open and close, and what lives inside of holes. And that's everything. It's I guess algebraically broken down, it's considered cobordisms or homotopy type theory. But I like to talk about the visceral aspects of the actual geometry, not only how it makes us feel, how it makes us know, and how it makes us build larger Merkabahs of fractal charge cathedrals, but that I digress. I whatever. I'm excited, and I'm just jumping into the episode. So
That's
so
great.
please tell us about some of the geometries of implosion, or if you have anything to share, wherever you want to take it.
Sure. I have watched your podcast about the Daughtry set, and I really liked it. I especially like the way you explained the implosive and explosive fields in relation to the plasma physics. I really like that a lot, and it's the artwork is really very nice. So thank you for composing all those.
Thank
And
you.
so as most of your audience probably knows, geometry has always been a major discipline in throughout whole history, starting from the Pythagorean times to Renaissance and until modern times. It has always been stayed a little bit esoteric. It hasn't been given to wide population, but right now it's the time of information, so this information is coming out much faster right now. And I think that there is a reason why most of the philosophers like Pythagoras, Plato, they were very much they based most of their physics and science based on geometrical understandings. And also we see many of the today's the secret societies, logos and symbolisms, we see geometrical tools there. So it is definitely something that is fundamental to many of the disciplines. And so in relation to the Merkaba and the aura fields, I think it's very instructive to really understand how fractality works and how a bioactive field works, because our auras and our spiritual hygiene mostly depend on the quality of the fractal field that we live in. So if the environment that we live in is high in fractality, it means that we have a higher potential to embed charge, which allows our energetic field to breathe that charge. So fractality is something very important in that sense, and this is something that you have also covered many times before, I suppose. And so basically, implosion and explosion is also very important in understanding how bioactive fields form. And we mostly focus on the implosive side of the force field, because when the waves agree meeting on specific ratios, like the golden ratio, they become shareable. That's when they create a constructive wave interference. And to allow that field to happen, well, nature does this automatically. So when you are in a forest or when you are in a natural place, most of the vitality is still there, and your aura, your energy body can breathe charge in such places. But when you are in like metal constructed buildings or places with dead air, the fractality, the quality of the fractality lowers down. So that's why we have to differentiate specific fields in the quality of fractality. So that's what allows our auras to embed charge. So in that sense, understanding implosion and how that happens is quite important. And we also use Platonic solids to explain charge implosion. because when we look at the occult chemistry, especially the chemist Moore's model, he successfully explained the atomic table with specific platonic solids based on their subshells. You know, there are SPDF subshells, and he has categorized them with specific platonic solids. And it's very instructive to look at those models, platonic solids, as charged implosive fields. For example, this is a dodecahedron that I'm holding, which has 12 faces. And it would be nice if you could visualize 12 vortex cones starting from the surface, going towards the center. Can you hear me well? I see my screen frozen here.
Yeah, sometimes the screen for
okay.
It breaks. Yeah, sometimes it breaks up, and but I can hear you perfect. You're coming through loud and clear.
All right. So in the dodecahedron model, which is also related with the space of the universe, we see the 12 sides. There are 12 pentagons in each sides, and if you can visualize vortices starting from each face going towards the center, then you get an implosive model. You would get 12 vortices next to each other to allow a dodecahedron. And you can visualize that with each of the other platonic solids like cube, octahedron, tetrahedron, and icosahedron. So there are some differences between the platonic solids. Like the two platonic solids have golden ratio, the dodecahedron and the icosahedron, which are also fractals to each other. And so
that's the icosahedron in the middle and the bottom?
That's right. Well, the top on the top surface you see the dodecahedron, and in the middle you see the icosahedron with the yellow balls holding them together. I don't know if you can see them when I hold them like this. So this is a sacred geometry modeling kit where you can find 5 of the platonic solids embedded within each other. And when you have such a toy to play with, you can see how each of the platonic solids are relating to each other, like how you can fit cube within a dodecahedron, and then how you can get a fractal dodecahedron to an icosahedron. For example, if you take this dodecahedron and if you get a stellated form of the dodecahedron, you would reach this form right behind me, which was something that Johannes Kepler introduced in his book Harmonicas Mundi. And then if you connect the edges of this stellated dodecahedron, you would get an icosahedron. I'm sure this is something that you already know. And if you do the same principle to the icosahedron, you would get a dodecahedron. So that's why we consider the universe a fractal dodecahedron composed of dodeca, icosa, all continuously creating each other.
That's a brilliant description of what I've been hearing for a long time. I've never seen the breakdown put that way with a model. So that's like the breathing mechanism then. So like expansion and contraction is it correct?
That's right. That's right. Well, in 2003, the Nature magazine first brought this up with a scientific article asking whether the universe is dodecahedron, because what they did was they mapped the temperature scaling of the universe visualized from the Earth. They mapped the universe with its temperature levels, and then they got this reddish and bluish temperature map. And what they did was they applied different polygons, platonic solids, different 3D shapes to see which one fits perfectly. And they realized that only dodecahedron fitted the map perfectly. And this subject also brings us to the idea of compression and rarefaction, because
Mm-hmm.
one can ask, how does the universe create such a shape? Well, it is because um, in some parts of the universe there is compression, and the other parts there is rarefaction. So it's the so what they call dark matter is actually a principle of rarefaction, which is the opposite of compression. So the universe uses this tool to condense charge at specific places. And that's why when the scientists observed the universe based on the temperature scaling, they got a dodecahedron model, because those were the places where the clusters of galaxies gathered together.
Mm-hmm. It's
Oh,
it's
yeah,
filamental and nodal, and ultimately, and the maps. How we got to notice this is because of apparently, um, what's that called? Lensing, uh, global lensing, or scalar lensing, where we see different galaxies around a central bulge, and it's the same galaxy. But anyway, yeah, that's compression and rarefaction. It is, and
right.
this is what we're seeing on multiple scales, including our brains, the neurons, and how most of our cells or most of our organs are organized structurally.
Yeah, actually, it's a much better definition than matter antimatter, because um, scientists have been trying hard to find this antimatter particle, which they have not found yet. But if you can explain this with compression and rarefaction, that explains everything.
Yes, yep, exactly. Well, the electric universe theory, it has explained it completely with just plasma and Birkeland
Yeah,
currents. So, I mean, I think that these are rivers of plasma, and stars form on rivers of plasma,
right.
and that's where we see the nodes, and that's why we see lines of them and chains of them often. There's dark mode plasma that you can't see, and then glow mode plasma and arc mode plasma. And if the universe is made up of 99% plasma, like the mainstream physicists will even admit, let's start talking about all the plasma then, instead of the dark matter and dark energy, which they're starting to do, but they're starting to call it magnetism and probably leaning towards magnetic universe. But either way, it's electromagnetic, and inside of these rivers is where the charge compression, uh, like you were talking about, non-destructive compression happens, and these spinning platonic solids create the different harmonic layers and the coherent layers of the substructure that we can't see. So they're
Right.
invisible crystalline rivers.
Yes. Yeah, very, very nicely explained. And the plasma science also is very much related with the shape of a donut, a torus,
Mm-hmm.
a torus donut, because the nature has a reason to express itself in the most sustainable way. Um, with the toroidal topology, because in such a way the nature can consume the less uh, effort to sustain its energy in a
Yep.
toroidal form. That's why our universe is composed of 99% it's plasma field, whose primary shape is a torus donut.
Yep. And you
And
see here, here's the donuts. The donuts are the hierarchical structure that thread filaments that turn them into helices, or caduceus, like energy um, filaments.
Right.
And it's cool to see that what happens when the toroids come together and pinch and become one, and then uh, exemplify the hollow universe idea, where really we're all trying to get to the bottom of it and the center of it, and the center of it is the eye of the storm. There's some really good stuff by Andy Hall called The Eye of the Storm, and he just really is descriptive on the tornadic winds and the multi-nested tornadoes inside of each other. Helice, well, what is it? Mesocyclones. They're gigantic, and they're on different planets and stuff like that. But these are really ultimately what everything is. Not everything, but there's a lot of transformation here happening inside of these pinched up currents that have kink instability. The kink instability is on the outside, where they twist, where they knot. That's another physics term right here. There's the kink instability at the dense plasma focus. Now, you were talking about the toroidal energy. That reminds me of, I think this is Bostick's model of a black hole. Oh no, it's Eric Lerner's model of a black hole, and it's a toroid. And then there's Nassim Harriman, who talks about the dual torus on top of each other. Right. There's the Muru matrix. There's so many different people right now describing different geometric configurations of plasma, and it. I think we all want to believe that ours is fundamental, but I think they all have something to do with each other, and we need to. I think what I want to do is continue to expose this, so that we can see these models for alternative models than the mainstream physics, and at least start investigating them.
Right. Yeah, well, Daminter helped me a lot in understanding the universal qualities of the energy, the charge. And this is something that really helps understanding the dynamics and physics of plasma and the toroidal fields as well. And so, especially in his book Fractal Conjugate Space and Time, then summarizes that the qualities of the universal energy is, first of all, compressible, as we talked about, like compression versus rarefaction. And secondly, it behaves like a fluid, as we have seen between the clusters of these plasma rivers. And it stores inertia when it rotates, especially with its spiral forms, as Walter Russell also suggested, the movement of the energy. And also in certain geometries like fractal and conjugate, etc., it appears to self-organize and become intelligent and alive. So this is, I think, really instructive in understanding all of these physics, because when you look at a toroidal field, that is also in constant motion. It is spiraling, and at the center of the torus, this is the most implosive point, which also we call a bioactive field or an intelligent field. that can support life force or support your aura. And we already know that at the center of those such magnetic fields has a donut shape. Also, when we look at Earth's geomagnetic field, is also a donut shape. Actually, it's a twistor where
It is.
donuts come into each other. And so I think that once we can agree on the qualities of the universal energy, it is much easier to unify many of the sciences that different researchers and scientists propose. I think we can get a better understanding through that. That's what I believe.
Yeah, and you know what? If you look at this circuit here, this is a Birkeland current. This is
Right.
This is being induced. There's an induction here, and the whole
That's a
thing.
beautiful. That's a beautiful visual, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, this is designed by a buddy that I used to work with at the beginning of the Electric View, and I filmed Don Scott inside for the first time inside this, and this was the Birkeland current. So this shows the local chimney of the solar system. That's the sun,
Right.
way down
Yeah.
there. The sun is helical as well. So you can't have it's multiple helical. So it's what Victor or Vladimir Ginsburg refers to as helicula, a helice within a helice within a helice, all wrapped around each other. It's pretty much how you make a tight rope, a rope
Perfect
bound.
space harmonics.
Yep. So we can't go without saying that this is being imploded. This is an implosive force here that's happening. Like the sun is being, there's a trajectory here. It's being propelled, imploded, or exploded. And we could talk about some of the dynamics here along the solar ecliptic, because the solar ecliptic is the straight line of everything that's happening now along the solar system. It's basically the galactic plane, but it's the solar plane.
Yes.
Solar. So now I want to talk. I just constantly think that if this is some sort of a digital, or as far as consciousness goes, if we are in like a digital matrix or a simulated reality, or even a reality that happens in a now along a circuit, this all the memory and everything would be all along the solar what was that? Sorry, what was I calling it? The solar plane, the solar ecliptic.
Right.
All of the energy of the circuit would be right on the solar ecliptic. And so maybe the memory and everything happens right there, where all of the charge is being equally dispersed among the planets as it all spins together. I guess I'm just kind of shooting out theoretical ideas here, and this could be like the membrane, but
yeah. Well, the question of whether we are living in a simulated matrix or universe is also something that I have been teaching in some classes, and well, it's a huge subject. So
right.
I don't know if we can cover that in a couple of minutes, but
Well, I don't agree with it personally. I think we're in a living universe, a two-way living, systolic, pulsating, breathing universe, like Russell talks about,
right.
versus some sort of a computer simulated,
Right.
some computer simulation that can be coded, recoded, refabricated.
Right.
Sure, it's probably electric, but it seems more organic than that to me.
It's definitely organic. I totally agree with you. It's definitely intelligent and alive.
Hmm.
And
Conscious for
uh,
sure.
yes, so there are specific codes like the ones that I told you about the universal qualities of the energy. There are also these hermetic principles, the Kybalion, the seven hermetic principles of the space. There's also this correspondence which I relate with the fractality of the matter and spirit. And um, so that
Where
there are some. Say again.
where do the hermetic codes? Where does hermetic and hermetic seal? Is there a guy, a gentleman named Hermes, or what is it? Hermetic.
Yeah, Hermes Trismegistus.
Oh, okay, that's where that comes from, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's well known for the source of the um, those principles.
He's
And
almost he's almost fake. He's like a legend, right? No one knows if he did exist or didn't. Like Hermes
yes, definitely,
Trismegistus.
definitely. He has lived the prehistoric times, and we don't have a clear source of him in the writings, but yeah, he's like a legend.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yes, so the esoteric perspective of Christianity, which is the Hermetism, mostly depends on the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus.
Okay.
And so
Is
he
that
has
where the
this.
Do you know if that's where the term hermit comes from? Being a hermit?
I'm not sure about the hermit, but Hermes, mostly, it is widely called as Hermes.
Isn't that a god? I'm sure. What's the god of Hermes? Is that any relation?
Yes, I think he can be considered as one of the gods, maybe Hermes,
Yeah. Oh yeah, Hermes is the
and
messenger of God or something.
yeah,
Let's
and
see.
he has the principles. Like if you write the seven hermetic principles, you will see like there is the principle of vibration, the principle of time, principle of duality, principle of correspondence. So there are the seven principles of um, the universe that
Hmm.
um, we cannot change. Like there is vibration, right? We cannot, yeah, we can manipulate the vibration, but it is there, so we cannot undo it. Or there is the uh, principle of karma, for example, right? Whatever you do will come back to you. Like the torus field, let's say you do something here, it's going to spiral back at you and come back to you as karma.
Uh,
So there are such principles there, and so based on that understanding, there are some things in life that we cannot change, but there are also some things in life that we can change, we can influence, as with our thoughts, with our emotions, with our belief systems. We can change many things, right?
yep.
Because it's all based on your thoughts and
Hmm.
your
It
heart
is.
fields.
We're writing history right now. We're constantly writing history, and we're
Yes.
wording it, we're talking it, we're spelling it into existence through Torah, multiple nested Tauruses as we talk. That's what our mouth is. And then
Right.
our lips are even a Taurus, the Taurus muscles of the lips.
Yes. And at the same time, um, the civilization on Earth, I don't know if you would call it a civilization or not, but the people on Earth are developing something called technology, and it's uh, growing quite fast. And the way it goes, especially in the fields of data processing and nanotechnology and quantum physics and everything, they are going towards very interesting places, like with this new Elon Musk's Neuralink advancements. Uh,
Right. I know. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's the future. Everything, the future is electric futurism.
yeah.
And the show has been hijacked
Yes.
because the truth about electricity, and I'm going to get into it for a second here,
Sure. Go
is,
ahead.
is it was brought to us by plasma physicists, stolen by the electric companies, DTE and the big consumer energies, and it's continuing to be stolen from us and not uh, given properly. And the electric future is stolen from us, and the I guess even Satanists some Satanists sometimes refer to as lightning and electricity, as representative, as symbolically representing Lucifer. Like you'll
Mm.
see in AC/DC and all that hardcore stuff, so-called hardcore stuff back in the day of the Satanic Panic. Lightning bolts were a big thing. So lightning bolts were referred to symbolically in a way, uh, a dark force. Now, what naturally comes with electricity is, like Dan Winter talks about, is the shareability, and like the openness of reality. Honestly, it's like the gate into and out of the universe. If you think about it, that's the way I think about it anyway. So it should be thought of and considered as sacred, and there should be some sort of a morality that comes with it. Uh, I guess I guess inverting God and Zeus and thunder into Lucifer makes sense, because everything gets inverted in certain ways to pervert it. But
Yeah.
I mean, everything's got its ebb and its flow, so I'm not complaining. I'm just kind of pointing it out.
That's great point. I mean, I agree with you that everything has been hijacked these days. I mean, throughout the whole history, actually, not only these days.
Yeah. Well,
So
scripture says everything in the end times, everything that's good will be considered bad, and everything that's bad is considered is good. And we're
uh,
looking at it and we're like, oh my gosh,
yeah, pretty
people.
much sums it up. Uh, so the most like for me, I'm not opposed to technological advancements, but I'm just very cautious about who will be controlling it.
Hmm.
That's that's the bottom line. So uh, yeah, so it's really interesting times coming ahead.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really scary and also interesting, because we're in the exponential. You can ride it all the way to the top, wherever the top is of anything. We're building the top, we're right on the fringes. Literally, the future is going to be looking back on us during some of these talks, and we're talking to the next generations of people in a generative manner to help this, at least me, this is part of my mission to help the next generation. And whereas a lot of the time people are only focused on the generation now, and we'll push our debt off onto the generation after. I want to fix the next. I want to fix it now so we can help the generations in the future. And that's you know fractal architecture, like you were talking about on some of your episodes. And that fractal architecture is electrical architecture, and the charge moving efficiently through the buildings is feng shui. you
yeah,
know this is We need to really help the universe. And this is, I mean, personally, I feel compelled to show people what feng shui is, so we can mirror our higher selves inside of our environments and beautify uh, your house, don't just be stale and think that your house looks nice because it's clean with clean walls. Put some
Right.
stuff in there that you look at that makes you feel good because it builds that charge, you know.
That's
But
right.
I don't want to keep being the only one that's talking. Do you did you want to share some stuff and share your screen and go in any direction here? We're about 45 minutes in. I know it's
Um,
late where
uh,
you're at.
well, I didn't prepare a slideshow or anything actually. We can just continue talking if it's okay for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, there's a million directions to go because it.
Exactly.
Um, I'm particularly interested in the JED, which I just learned about. And the more I learn um, electricity and plasma universe cosmology, the more I'm understand Dan Winter because it's
Well,
hard keeping up with him, you know.
yeah, yeah, you are definitely right. Well, ancient Egyptians were using specific technologies for elevation and embedding charge, and I think in that page Dan is attempting to explain the specific geometries and ratios to concentrate charge and also create elevation, I guess.
So
I think
it,
I
when
think
it,
there's a relationship with the golden ratio there as well. You can see the root 5 bases of golden mean relation among the um, stone levels within each other. I think there is this compression of charge there to the center for acceleration at the bottom.
yeah. So I would think um, everything's built this way in certain ways, and what we've been talking about is how the rocks used to sing because the ionosphere was closer to Earth, and when the ionosphere is closer to Earth, the charge is uh, is pushed more into all of the living creatures and the rocks.
I
And
see.
some rocks used to glow, like they do now. They still do glow. This is St. Elmo's fire. Are you familiar with St. Elmo's fire?
Not really.
So when a ship goes out to sea, St. Elmo's fire. When a ship goes out to sea,
Okay.
uh, it will get charged because of the waves rubbing up against it,
Oh,
and
I see.
it'll produce a glow at the top of the mast. And this has been reported time and time again. I don't know the exact origin of the name St. Elmo's fire, but that'd be interesting to get into at some point. But this happens at the tops of cathedrals. This has been spotted at the top of cathedrals,
Wow.
and it makes me wonder if at certain times the what are those things, the goblins and stuff that they put on the edges of the buildings.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of them, but they put them out there to ward off birds and spirits and stuff like that. It makes me wonder if those used to glow at certain times.
Yeah, those pictures remind me of a technology that they call Tartarian. I don't know if you have heard of that. Um,
I know that name. Tell me about it.
yeah, if you yeah, right, Tartarian technology is an ancient, supposedly it's an ancient technology while they were constructing cathedrals and high buildings until 19th century, I guess. And what they were doing was basically they were collecting charge from the atmosphere with those they place either the toroidal small copper materials at the top of the buildings or cathedrals or churches, and they would gather the atmospheric energy and store it and use it. Well,
Wow, this is
that's a theory that I have heard. I'm
wow.
not sure. Yeah, I haven't
That's
validated it.
that's totally incredible because I've come to that same theory myself. Looking at the buildings and looking at transformers, you can
Yeah,
tell. And I have a page on Facebook, Electric Universe Architecture, and this this it is exactly like the Tower of Babel, like the charge when we were on the Tower of Babel. We built it so high that we realized we could reach those etheric currents, and it confused all of our languages. And we, of course, again blame it on God. We go our own ways, and then we all start. Some of us understand the other languages, and that's really another anomaly. But uh, language, birds will do the same thing. If you take generations of birds away from generations of birds, they and you actually teach you take them away from their parental songs, they will naturally go back to their parental songs without hearing them.
right.
So it's like languages will naturally talk in certain ways, and we can interpret it too. And because mostly language is 90% with the body language is 90% of the conversation.
Yes.
But I had this idea that you could build like a reverse Birkeland current, uh, and pull power out of the sky, just like a Birkeland current is concentric cylinders,
Yeah.
just like the tower of this is concentric cylinders inside of each other.
Right.
Now, if you look at some of the tallest building in the world, um,
Burj Al Arab.
yeah,
Right.
it looks. Or the bird, yeah, that's it. Yep.
Burj Khalifa. Right.
Now the design of that is exactly like a Birkeland current, souping up energy straight out of the atmosphere.
Yeah,
And
I have been on top of that building 2 years ago. It's totally surreal.
dude, you're so lucky. That's incredible. I can't even believe it,
Yeah,
dude.
so surreal.
No, I just can't even believe this freaking building exists.
Yeah,
It's like, and it does look like a Birkeland current. It's spiral, you know.
yeah.
There's a spiral element, a helical element to it. So I've talked about that maybe 2, 3 years ago, and I didn't know there was a name for it. Now I know that, dude. Thank you.
Oh, you're
So,
welcome.
so this does exist, and there's also another name for it, Corona, believe it or not.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. Um, Corona on wires. Corona
Maybe like
discharge.
the coronal mass ejections. Maybe it's where it's coming from.
Oh, everything's coming from the CME, baby. That's for sure. All of this. That's my favorite stuff to talk about is what is that soup of solar nectar that's coming to us. and
Exactly.
and that's what Tesla was talking about, tapping into the breast of the Mother Earth, and what's the organization of the filaments, what's the information there, how is it
Right.
hitting the heliosphere, the heliopause, and it's beating it like a drum, and it's making sound. And that's what I talk about on a lot of the episodes on the Geometric View, another podcast. And we talk about those sounds are what actually creates life on Earth. The solar sounds of the auroras, and how diatoms build their structure, their glass structure, um, just to as cymoscope, or like cymoglyphs. They are all built inside of cylindrical brine channels, and they come from the sun, and somehow they're formed out of glass. But either way, all of life is reflective of these sounds and these chirps inside of the auroras, and all the way to whales re-imbuing the sound back out into Earth, and wolves calling the sound out into the atmosphere, controlling the strikes of lightning like Ragnarok. Ragnarok is theories, Icelandic or theories of Nordic myths of the wolves and their tie to lightning, and how they control the lightning strikes and like different things, and like these myths are history, and it's beautiful to see some of these myths become decoded. It's incredible.
Yeah, nice.
So corona discharge. Yeah, so it appears all over on wires, and it basically is very similar to St. Elmo's fire.
Right.
So that's also cool. That's very similar to this Tartarian technology. Thank you. This is so awesome. I'm so
Yeah,
excited to learn
that
more.
really nice videos that they have prepared about this Tartarian technology on YouTube. You can check a couple of those.
Can't
They
wait.
really delve into it historically.
Have you heard of star forts? There's
Yes, yes,
oh
yes.
yeah,
I've been to some. Yeah.
nice. If you combine Tartarian technology with star forts, you know,
Yeah.
well, this
The,
also makes a lot of sense. Like, because when we go into cultures, a lot of the time we try to topple the cathedrals and destroy the culture because we don't know if they're emitting something, or who knows if that's their powerhouse of control, their domes.
right. Right. Right.
Always in the domes. Yeah, and this is also all implosive, you know, um, pulling the charge out of the atmosphere, imploding it, and storing it.
Yeah, and they say that that's why everybody's trying to go higher and higher while building those buildings. They all want to reach to the higher levels of the atmosphere, because as they go higher, the energy that they can pull gets much bigger and bigger in quantity. That's why there is this addiction of trying to reach higher, they say.
Well, think about what Nikola Tesla was doing. He was vibrating the entire building. This was back in the 20s or 30s.
Right.
He was using the building as an energy storage. Well, I don't know if he was using it as an energy to storage device, but what he was doing is he was some people claim that he was using the building to tap into extra power that he couldn't tap, um, you know, by using his generator. Because that's what he was talking about, is pulling it right out of the ground, you know, pulling the energy right out of the ground or out of the air, the atmosphere.
Right. Right.
So how's Fractal University going?
The, Dan has not organized one for this year yet.
Yeah,
He
because
did
of the
one in
whole COVID.
2018 and another one in 2019, I guess. And well, there was another one, I guess, in 2017. So he did a couple of years. I think he might be busy these days with his other projects.
Yeah,
Um,
he's doing some great stuff.
yes, yes. So I was planning to do an online series of like 7 or 8 educational podcasts, but I haven't started that yet. But I'm planning to cook up something nice.
Good. Yeah, I've been looking for more material from you. I love how you put it together so well,
Thank you so
and you
much.
know, because you're so learned, you know what you're talking about, and you can explain it in a way that's understandable. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
mhm.
Also, if any of your audience would like to get any of those toruses or those Star Mother kits, they can find that at geometricmodels.com. We also have some other sacred geometry tools like golden ratio rulers. They can find them at geometricmodels.com. We have some nice stuff. Also, Dan Winter's book is also available at geometricmodels.com, also on his website as well, fractalfield.com. So if any of your... Yeah.
That's where we can find your work.
Sure.
Yep. As well, right?
That's right.
That's your hub.
Yeah, mostly. They can also find my videos on YouTube. Simply just type Tufan Guven on the search box, and they'll find some videos that we have done with Dan Winter and plus others.
Awesome. Well, you know what? If you do talk to Dan, I haven't reached out to him in a little bit, but a couple of months ago, he said he was willing to do a podcast with us. I'm just I guess I'm not ready yet, so I gotta work myself up to that point. So
I don't know if that point ever comes. Let me tell you that.
That's great.
So you just have to do it.
I know, I do. I want to have him on both on a few of my podcasts because I got more than 3. So, but this new one here, I definitely need him on here. You know, we have 13,000 people on our Facebook, on our Facebook page, the Electric Universe Geometry.
That's great.
So I'm hoping to take these 13,000 members and start a podcast with everybody here and break it down. One electrically interested artist / geometer or electrician, doctor, whatever. I'm gonna just keep going and interview them and see how well we can all connect the dots.
Yeah, I mean, you have great visuals, great artwork. I don't know if you are also sharing them on Instagram. That's also a nice platform to share such beautiful work.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your time. And once again, that's geometricmodels.com, right?
Yes, that's right.
All right. Well, you're also welcome. Oh, no, I know your time. We tried to talk about Saturday. I was going to say I'd invite you to the Saturday podcast, but I know you'll probably be sleeping at that hour.
Yeah, probably. But it was a great pleasure to be with you and to be talking to you.
Absolutely.
And I'm very happy to do it again later.
It's been good. Thank you very much. Can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Blessings. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Electric Universe Geometry is a Love is Watching production, produced executively by Buddy James, music by the acronym BUD. Thank you for being here. See you on the next episode.